Today, I'm going to concentrate on how can you manage tasks, search for overdue, coming up, backlogs, automation of these reports, creating automated reports, things of that nature. So it gives you an idea of how you could architecture that. So let me start and share my screen here. We'll go to a Cohesion empty account. So this is a Cohesion empty account, and right now we're on the Builder tab, so the Builder module. The Builder is where you actually create your application and you use it in the different other tabs like the workspace, the report, the dashboard, and so on. So for today, we'll concentrate on the Builder, the dashboard, and the reports. So let's create our first application. I'm going to keep things very, very simple so we can concentrate on more on the form than on the content. So let's create the application. So in Cohesion, you can create from an existing template, from an Excel file, or from scratch. So today we'll do it from scratch, and we'll call it task management. By default, Cohesion will add a few fields to make your life easier. So we'll use the name field for the task name. A task should have a description. So let me drop in a description field here. Description. So this is a multi-line text field. Then for each task, we want them to be assigned to someone. So that's going to help us manage our workload. So to assign tasks to people, you just take the user list field, which is automatically populated with the users that are in your Cohesion account, and we'll call it assigned to. Leave it here, and I'm going to expand it, change a little bit the width so everything lines up perfectly. Then we want to add a priority field. So priority should be a drop-down. So we'll use our drop-down field here and call it priority. And we'll put a few values for the priority. So I'll just click on a few, add these values. And just for fun, we'll color code them. So we have a little color coding wizard here that's going to do some magic and add colors to it. So it kind of makes sense. You can re-click on it until you like the selections, or you can do it individually if you want. So that's for priority. And one last field that is super important is the due date. So then I'm going to take a date field and drag it here, call it due date. I will expand it so it lines up with the others. Then I click on save to commit my changes. So now we have a very simplistic version of a task management application. So let's go and take a look at what it looks like. If we go in the workspace, and this is where you actually use your applications. So we go in the workspace. So Cohesion already created a search here. We'll click on it. There's nothing. If we want to create a record, we can click on the plus on the create record. So, and then you can create a new record, a new task within your newly created application. I figured that most of you probably already have a large list of tasks in an Excel file. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to showcase how you can actually import your Excel tasks into an existing application, the one we just created. So let's go back to the builder. And now I'll import an Excel file that I already have ready. So to do an import, you just hover over the application, click on the gear, and select Import Data from File. Then you just follow the wizard. So I'll select my import file here, Task Management. So this is my Excel file. So you see each column of the Excel is represented here. Cohesion will try to infer the field type. It's pretty good at it, but you can change it if you need to. For example, the assigned to, I know it's a user list field, but I know that it's using the username and not the first name and last name. So I'll just change this to username. Priority drop down, that's fine. And the due date is fine. Click on next, select where we want to import it. So that's the task management project we just created. And then Cohesion will show you this is the column from the Excel and these are the fields in Cohesion. And I made sure if the names are exactly the same, everything will be mapped automatically. If not, you can manually map those, making sure that everything makes sense. And then once you're ready, you just click on finish. And then Cohesion will automatically import everything. So you'll see here, priority, there was a little issue here. Whenever an import doesn't go well, Cohesion will tell you immediately and show you what has happened. So let's close that for now and go see the end result. Now you see that each task was imported and the priority was not imported because there was some sort of an issue. That doesn't stop us from setting the priority to critical and whatever is required for each task. So you see, you can navigate each of the tasks easily and you see them. We call that in split mode. And we can also set due date. This one was due on the 2nd. This one was due on the 9th. And let's say the next one should be due today, the 24th. So we have some fairly interesting data here with the due date. As long as we're here, whenever you're in this view here, you can also add comments. So see, we added some simple comments and the Cohesion automatically set the created by, created on, and saved on. So we have a somewhat decent data set that we can work with. So now that we've created a simple application and that we have some data, let's see how you can do your day-to-day management of those tasks. So depending on your preferences, I like the grid. So the grid allows me to sort by anything, by any column, and then I can single click, see the record easily, or I can double click and see the record in full screen if I want to. Some people prefer to see that in a calendar view. So Cohesion has different views to allow you to manage your records, your task in this instance. So from here, you can go here and go calendar. And then on the due date of the task, it will show in the calendar. And these are linked and you can click on them and they're going to pop up and you will see the detail and you can make updates to the task. The next view is the pivot. So the pivot allows you to do aggregations of your task. So if you go to the pivot, then we see that we have 20 records, but how many records do I have per assigned to? So I know they're all assigned to me. So technically there should be 20 assigned to me here, Thierry, that's good. But I want to see how many do I have per priority. Then I can drag priority here and see critical, high, low, and empty. So I know that 17 are empty. So the pivot table allows you to really see some more statistical information about all of your tasks. So we know how we can see your task, we can view your task, you can edit tasks. Now you want to know how you can do some quick search on your task. So within Cohesion, it's fairly easy to do some searches. So you can do a very quick search by just typing in some text there, and it's going to search all the records for that specific piece of text. Or if you want to do more of an advanced search and search only specific field or a multitude of fields, you can say, okay, well, this due date is on the 9th, and let's go and click on the 3 little dots here and say, okay, I want to see all the tasks that have a priority of high and that are assigned to. So it's going to return the same thing, but it's more precise and more advanced. And finally, and I'll show you that a bit later, as an administrator, and this is very important, we can create default searches. So what we mean by default searches is the administrator will create on the builder default searches that will appear everywhere for every users that have access to this task management. And this is the next thing we will do in today's session. So right now we only have one search. It's nice, but if we end up with 2,000 tasks, it's very cumbersome. I want to know exactly what's coming up today, what's overdue, and what's coming up in the next 7 days. So let's create default searches that all my users can use and be more efficient with the data and exactly know what's happening. So let's go back to the builder. But first, I'll just explain, we can see all the searches. So the search here that has a star means this is a default search and was created from the builder. So to create a default search, you go to the builder, you go to your application, and then you'll see here a drop down and you go to default searches. And these are searches that will be inherited for each users that have access to this application. So let's say we create all the tasks that are coming up in the next 7 days. So I can click on the plus, give the search a name, next 7 days. So that's the name of the search, and the criteria will be the due date should be the next 7 days. So we have a quick date selector here. So the next 7 days means where the due date is equal to today all the way to plus 7 days. So from today and the coming 7 days, and that will return all the tasks that will be due on in the future in the next 7 days. So I click on save, and when I click on save, it's going to be a backend process, and each users will automatically inherit that search. So we have a next 7 days. Why not do a next 30 days? So same thing, next 30 days. And I want to do a due date next 30 days. That's another search. Now I want to create a search that will give me a list of all of my tasks, all the tasks that are assigned to me, but I don't want to have to create a search for each of my users because that's very cumbersome. So there is a nice trick within Kohezion to achieve this. So you click on the plus, and I'll call it My Tasks. And now the assigned to is a user list field. So that's a special field. And being a user list field, it has an option called current user. So that means it's going to be filtered where the assigned to is equal to the person that is logged in into their account. So you only have to create one search, and it's going to be valid for all the users that use it. So my task, current users, and that's all I have to do. And then you can have multiple permutations of this. You can have my task coming up in the next 7 days, my task. So you just have to set the criteria appropriately. Also, when you create those default search, you can select what is the default view and what is the grid view, which columns are going to be displayed. So let's have a bit of fun here and set, like, for the all task management, it should be shown in grid mode, and the grid view, let's say we only want to show the name and the assigned to. So this is for that search, and I'm going to click on save to commit my changes. And you see here, this was an existing search. So I have different options. I'll select the one in the middle, which means that I'm going to update that search for all users that have it. So I'm going to overwrite everything that's been there. I mean, overwrite the search, doesn't touch anything in the data. So click on update. Now the next 7 days, which is more interesting. So we'll do the criterias are okay, the grid view, and then we'll select name, assigned to, and due date, which makes a bit more sense. So you see, on a per search basis, you can set which columns are going to be displayed for that specific search. And also, let's say we want to do a calendar view, and that's going to be the last default search I'll create. So we'll just call it calendar. We won't set any criteria. We don't really need them for that. But the default view will be calendar. And if we go to the calendar view, we're going to say, okay, well, I want to show this monthly, and I want to set this based on the due date. Click on OK. And let's make it all tasks. And I like to put it in bracket like that, so I know it's going to come up in calendar. And you could do the same thing with a pivot view if you wanted to. Click on save, and that's going to create that task. So each users will inherit those searches, and you can update those searches as your need changes. Also, this is more advanced. This is for our enterprise accounts. You can select who can inherit your search. So if you don't set anything in security, everybody that has access to that application will receive the search. But if you select a user or a user group, only these people will have the search. So you could create searches for three users in your account and the other ones would not have it and so on. So again, that's another level of customization that you have access to. So let me refresh my screen and we should see the searches now. So you see all the searches are there. They've been created. They're all default searches because they've been created from the application on the builder. So let's go back here and execute them. So all tasks. So you see we have the two fields we selected. This is the calendar view. So it should come up in the calendar based on the due date as we saw it. My task would be everything assigned to me. Next 30 days, a bit less. And next 7 days, it's the same record. Of course, we don't have that much data. But you see each column are assigned differently, have different views, different columns, and you decide how you want to do this. So these are default searches. So you can provide the tools for your users to really see everything that they need to see and what's important for them. On top of that, each user can create their own searches, which is a user search. So a user search is only available to the user who created it. So to create a user search, you click on the gear here, add search, and then you follow the wizard. So I'm going to put this under the task management search group. I'm going to search this project and I'll just call it my own search. Won't put any criteria, but let's click on next and I can run the search, click on finish. So this is my own search as a user. So it's been created, only me can use it. So for users that have very specific needs that don't necessarily need to be shared across the whole organization, they can create their own searches. And if we go back to the gear icon here, you'll see that all the default searches have that little star character, but my own search does not. And as long as we're here, for each of the searches, you can go there to that screen and export the data to Excel using this button here. So let me close this. So this is how, as an admin, you can easily manage, create searches, and provide the tools for people to work with their tasks. You can go and see everybody's tasks for today and see if they're getting done and who's lagging, who needs help, and so on. So that's the first step to really manage and organize your data for managing tasks or anything else that you have within your organization. The next step, if you want to have like a global quick view when you log in without clicking or anything, or have a more visual approach to this, is maybe to leverage our dashboard. So once you have all of this created, you can create yourself a dashboard, or you can create a dashboard that you can share amongst different users. So our dashboard essentially is a more visual way of showing the data. So let's create our first dashboard. If I create a dashboard, I'll just call it, well, I'll leave it at new dashboard. If I wanted to, I could share it with other users, but I'll create this one just for me. And then a dashboard is comprised of widgets. So let's say on my dashboard, I want to see a search widget that represents my tasks and assigned to current user. So you set up your widget and the grid view has all these fields. It's a little bit too much for my taste. So I say, okay, I just want to see name assigned to priority due date. The rest, I'm really not interested in. Click on finish. And that gives me a nice little widget and I can click on it and the record is gonna pop up if I double click on it actually. Now I want to see something a bit more visual. I prefer to see this in a calendar. So I'll add a new widget, but this time I'll still use my task, but I'll set it up as a calendar. So I'll just set default view, calendar view here. We'll select monthly using the due date field and finish. Now I have my calendar view and I'll just put it like so. So whenever you log in, the first thing that you can see is your dashboard and you know what's happening or what you have to do. And you can also create dashboards for your team. So it's a different way to really quickly see everything that needs to be done. and I'll just wrap it up with a nice pivot table here. So I'll do a plus. Again, we'll do a search, but we'll do it in a pivot for all tasks. So I'll use this search as the base. I'll set it to pivot. And the pivot view should be based on the assigned to and priority. Let's see what that looks like. So it goes down here. So let me just move it here so everybody can see it, give it a bit more space. So you see, you can really organize it as you see fit. I want something a bit better than this. Only 20 record, that doesn't tell me much. So I can go back, click on edit, go to advanced setting, and then you can set your pivot table as you see fit. So I want to see the count per priority, for example. And I want to see this more graphically. So I want to see it in a column chart. Click on save, click on OK. There you go. So now the end result of this, let's pretend we're just logging in. So when you log in, first of all, you can go to your preferences and say, okay, when I log in, I always want to land first on the dashboard. Click on save. So let's pretend we're logging in. I'll refresh and poof, you get to the dashboard, and that's the first thing you see in the morning is everything you have to do, everything you have to take care of, everything that's overdue, and so on. So you set it up once and then you can use it literally for years. The next thing and the last thing I want to go through is in some instances, you might want to generate a report that is to be sent every day to a list of people. So let's say every task that you want to do, you want a report sent to your email address and automatically every day. So if you go to the report module in Cohesion, and we'll create a report. So that's the first step. So let's create a task management report, and let's call it daily report, HTML, and so on. So we'll keep it as simple as possible. We want to see all the fields. We'll set a few properties. That's good. Click on finish. And let's execute that report just for fun. So I can execute that report based on a search. So let's do it for my task and click on finish. So that's the report. Of course, the layout can be completely customized. You can add your logo. You do have a lot of flexibility here to change the way the report looks. For today, I'll show you that once the report is executed like this, you can go and click here and schedule this report. So you can say, okay, I want to schedule this report. So the first step is to create a schedule. A schedule is a mechanism when you say, okay, I want to do something every day, every Monday, every 15th of the month. You decide. So let's create our schedule first. And let's do this every weekday. So we'll do it every weekday. Click on finish. So also the schedule includes to whom I'm going to send those reports. So it could be an internal user, or it could be a comma separated list of external. So you might want to send this to your clients, to your collaborators. It's for you to decide. So that is the schedule. So every weekday, it's going to send an email to me with the content of that report. Click on finish. The report will be saved and automatically it will be scheduled and executed every day. So you see the schedule has been created, it's there, and you can see that the report will, every morning you will see that the report will be in your inbox automatically. So these are the tools for you to really manage and create the tools to help you manage your backlog, what's coming up, and always see what's happening within your organization for tasks. Of course, like I said, this is a very simple representation of a task. You can attach documents, you can exchange comments, you can set up email notification, things of that nature. But today, I just wanted to show you the different tools that you have available to you to manage these things. If you have any questions, of course, you can always contact us.